Queen Mary and King Frederik of Denmark cut short their stay in Paris due to a tragic reason. It was meant to be a joyous occasion, a chance for the royal couple, Queen Mary of the United Kingdom and King Frederik of Denmark, to bask in the splendor of the City of Lights. Their state visit to Paris was intended as a celebration of the strong ties between their nations, a diplomatic showcase that would cement the long-standing alliance. However, the mood quickly turned somber as news of a tragic event reached the royal party, cutting short their Parisian idyll. The details were still emerging, but it was clear that something had gone terribly wrong, prompting the monarchs to abruptly cancel their remaining engagements and rush back to their respective homelands. The initial days of the visit had unfolded with all the pomp and circumstance befitting a state occasion. Queen Mary and King Frederik had been greeted with full military honors, their limousines escorted through the streets of Paris by a dazzling cavalcade. They had attended grand receptions, dined with the French president, and toured the city's iconic landmarks, all while basking in the adulation of the Parisian crowds. But the joyous atmosphere was shattered when the tragic news arrived. Eyewitnesses reported seeing the royal couple's expressions shift from one of serene contentment to deep anguish as they were informed of the unfolding events. Without hesitation, they immediately cancelled their remaining public appearances and retreated to the sanctuary of their hotel suites, where they remained in seclusion, communicating only with their closest advisors. The nature of the tragedy that had so abruptly interrupted the royal visit remained shrouded in mystery, with the palace press offices in London and Copenhagen issuing only the barest of details. All that was known for certain was that a deeply distressing incident had occurred, one that demanded the immediate attention of the monarchs. Speculation ran rampant, with the international media scrambling to piece together the fragments of information. Was it a terrorist attack? A natural disaster? A personal tragedy within the royal families? The lack of official communication only fueled the frenzy, as journalists and the public alike were left to fill in the blanks with their own conjectures. As the royal aircraft carrying Queen Mary and King Frederik touched down on their respective home soil, the mood was one of profound solemnity. Crowds that had gathered to welcome the monarchs back were instead met with a sober procession, the flags at half-mast and the faces of the dignitaries etched with concern. In the days that followed, the public would learn the tragic details. A devastating accident had claimed the lives of several members of the royal entourage, including close personal aides and security personnel. The shock waves reverberated through the halls of power, as world leaders expressed their condolences and pledged their support to the grieving monarchs. As the flags in London and Copenhagen flew at half-mast, Queen Mary and King Frederik retreated from the public eye, immersing themselves in a period of mourning and reflection. The state visits and diplomatic engagements were postponed, as the royal families grappled with the weight of their loss. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the public rallied around their leaders, offering messages of sympathy and support. Candlelight vigils were held, and flowers were laid at the gates of the royal residences, as the people sought to share in the grief of their sovereigns. Slowly, but surely, Queen Mary and King Frederik emerged from their seclusion, their faces etched with the pain of their loss but their resolve unbroken. In their first public addresses since the tragedy, they spoke of the importance of honoring the memory of those who had perished, and of rededicating themselves to the service of their nations. In the face of such profound sorrow, we must find the strength to carry on, Queen Mary declared, her voice trembling with emotion. Our loved ones would want us to continue our work, to uphold the values they held dear, and to build a better world in their memory. King Frederik echoed her sentiments, vowing that the royal families would work tirelessly to support the families of the victims and to ensure that such a tragedy would never be repeated. We owe it to them, and to all our people, to lead with compassion and to never lose sight of our duty to serve, he said, his eyes shining with unshed tears. As the world watched, humbled by the grace and resilience of the monarchs, it became clear that this tragic interruption to the royal visit would ultimately serve to strengthen the bonds between the nations, forged in the crucible of shared sorrow and a renewed commitment to the ideals of peace, unity, and service.